Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a budgeting 101 video, and I'm continuing the building wealth series on my channel since a lot of people actually liked that video and had questions afterwards. Today on Instagram I asked if people wanted to see the budgeting video versus the saving to 100,000. So I have my husband here sitting with me so we can talk budgeting since this is really his realm, and kind of go through like step by step of things that we would suggest, things that worked out for us, and kind of talk about very briefly what we've done in the past, what we're currently doing now.
We kind of just want to give you guys some suggestions, some things that we developed over time that helped us towards our financial goals. So step one really for getting started with a budget is understanding what you make income wise after taxes. I'm talking about all your sources of income, if you do things on the side, stuff like that.
In the last video I actually talked about building wealth together as like a married couple, and I wanted to add this in here because we are going to talk about basically anybody can do this whether you're married or single. But if you are married, you do want to bring both your incomes together so you guys know both what you're bringing home, and you can actually like build wealth together and do a budgeting as a family, because that is really important if you're a married couple. So the second part is adding all of your expenses into like an Excel document. So basically if you go the past 30 or 60 days to see what's reoccurring, to see what you're constantly spending money on, or just to see where you're constantly shopping at, to see what your overall spending is. So for reoccurring, you think things like Netflix, an iTunes membership, or for like myself, I have a reoccurring vet bill for my dogs. Make sure you're adding in things like where you're going shopping, how often you're going shopping, where you're shopping at, whether it's groceries or just like going out with friends or going out to the bar, childcare expenses, things like that, kind of get like a mindset of like what you should be exciting to see in your budget and Excel document.
You want to get your entire outflow. So we know this part, it can be very time consuming, but it's important that you go through your bank account and see the withdrawals, where they're all coming from. Because you might be surprised that there are things you didn't realize that were in there that are coming out, because we've experienced that. It's important to, gather the information. And this number doesn't have to be exact, you just really want to range, because budgets do vary depending on the month, because things do come up.
Like holidays or, sickness.
We're going to share a general budget spreadsheet so you can just plug these numbers in there. Step 3 would be figure out what your needs are. What's your survival number? So you need a roof over your head, you need clothing, food, basic hygiene products, cell phone, transportation, things like that. So figure out what that number is as well. Cell phone plans can also vary. So you can have the latest and greatest iPhone, unlimited data for a family can be $200, especially if you have the phone subsidized. We're talking about basic cell phone plan. If you're struggling to pay the bills and save,
or you're always going negative,
why do you have the top of line phone? Because that's really keeping you from getting to your goals. And same thing with transportation. Car payments are one of the biggest hurdles to actually achieving financial freedom. $500 a month over 30 years compounding can be almost in the millions of dollars in your retirement. So you don't need a
brand new car,
a brand new vehicle.
Depending on what your salary is, the vehicle that you have should kind of match the salary that you're at. So if you have a $40,000 job, you don't need like a $50,000 car, just to put it in perspective like that way. So what we did actually before we moved to where we are now, we actually did a one car family type deal, and we're still doing it to this day. That actually worked out for us because we didn't have to worry about 2 car payments. Same thing with the cell phone bill. It's kind of interesting nowadays that we're saying that cell phone and reliable transportation are part of like a budget and they're kind of like necessary. But technically, like if you're living in New York or Jersey or something like that, you really don't need a car. So it kind of just depends on like where your location is. We are going to include it because it is realistic, and being realistic, we're going to include it in the need category. Car payment was $530 for new vehicles and $381 for your used ones, and we know plenty of people their car payment is like double. So it's really not necessary to have a car payment that high.
Yeah, so a good rule of thumb that I heard is car you purchase should be no more than 1/4 of your net worth. All your assets minus your liabilities. You're worth $100,000. You buy a $50,000 vehicle. That's silly, stupid. So
to put it nicely.
Yeah. It's just what it is.
When we first started bringing our budgets together, because when we first got married, we had 2 separate budgets for like the first year. But this kind of helped us really analyze what we were doing with our budgets as a whole. And it's called the 50-30-20 rule.
Yeah, so you can apply this literally, or you can tweak it to fit your life. We actually tweaked it quite a bit, but just generic 50-30-20 rule, right out of the box is, 50% of your income is for your needs. So if you make $4,000 a year, that'd be pretty bad. $4,000 a month, $2,000 of that is meant for your needs, or that's your threshold for your needs. 30% is for your spending, so that's, you know, going out with friends, clothing, restaurants, things like that. And the 20% would be for actual savings. So, you know, we had our 50% towards our needs, and then we actually took that other 50% and put towards high interest credit card debt, student loans, and things like that.
And I think this will help a lot with putting things in perspective when you actually list out reoccurring expenses or just what you typically spend, you know, over the past like month or two. It'll help you really analyze like what is actually a want in your life and what's actually a need and a necessity. So, and this is like Tony was saying, this is going to differentiate if you are single or if you're married, because obviously like we have different expenses than a college student would have.
The last thing we have is, you know, stick to a plan. Saving, investing, you know, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint, so this is a long-term goal that you're trying to reach. So you got to remember, you just got to stick to this plan, and, you know, the numbers will eventually work out for you.
So, and this is like the hardest part in my opinion of it. If you admittedly have a spending problem, or if you're really looking at budgeting because you're always going negative, especially if you are trying to really build wealth like we've been saying, that's gonna be the hardest part. But once you actually do it, it'll be much easier going forward. So we're actually at the point now where we actually don't budget at all. Ours is like very different than what we started out in. So that's kind of like what you want to aim for. That's basically like what our tips and tricks are with starting budgeting, at least. If you guys have questions, please check the description box, because it will link different references and articles and an Excel document or that you can use to basically to get yourself started. But if you guys have questions, feel free to leave in the comment section. This is going to be a continued series on my channel, so Tony will be back. But otherwise, we will see you guys in the next video. So bye. Thanks for watching.